Hey there, crew. Today we are going to focus in on the great state of Michigan, where we live. We're going to talk about maps and lighthouses and sailboats, and we're going to become cartographers. So cartographers are artists who draw and produce maps, and maps are very important. We wouldn't know where to go anywhere without maps. Even if you use a GPS, cartographers are helping you out there. So, way back in 1825, the first lighthouse was constructed in what would become the state of Michigan. Built on Lake Huron, the Fort Gratiot Light was named for a nearby military outpost, at the time one of the few European settlements north of Detroit. So, as you know, Michigan is the Great Lakes state. You're learning about Michigan a lot in social studies with its geography, its history, and art connects to social studies so well. I just think it's so important to understand where we live and connect to where we live, and we're going to do just that. Michigan is bordered by 4 of the 5 Great Lakes, giving it 3,288 miles of shoreline, the most of any state except Alaska, and therefore more lighthouses. So the lighthouse historian, or one lighthouse historian, says there were as many as 247 lighthouses in Michigan, but now less than 100 are in good condition and still present. So if you visit some lighthouses, just know a long time ago there was a lot more to see and explore. Again, it says 4 of the 5 Great Lakes. Do you know which Great Lake doesn't border our shores? Maybe we'll find out when we make our map, if you don't already know. All right, so here are some images of Michigan lighthouses and some sailboats as well. So you'll see in different seasons. Yes, it does snow by the lighthouses there. There's some good sailboats. We're going to also focus in with our map-making abilities as a cartographer. We're also going to make a landscape. And you know that with landscapes, we have a foreground, a middle ground, and a background. We've talked about atmospheric perspective as well. So things are brighter, bolder, a little darker as well, more details in the foreground closest to us. Then as you get pushed back to the background, near the horizon line, things get lighter, a little fuzzier, less detailed, and things also appear smaller. So if you had sailboats, for instance, one in the foreground would appear to be the biggest. Middle ground would be medium size, and then near that horizon line would be the smallest sailboat. But again, in real life, if you measured them, they might even be the same, or the one furthest away might be the tallest and biggest of all, but because it's far away, it looks smaller. So we're going to focus on atmospheric perspective and landscape drawing, as well as our map making abilities, all connecting to good old Michigan. So here's some lighthouses and sailboats on the Great Lakes. The Mackinac Bridge. Maybe you've gone to the Mackinac Bridge, maybe you've crossed it or just seen it. Maybe you've even taken the ferry across to good old Mackinac Island. So here's a great image of the bridge at nighttime and the lights reflecting onto the water. Here's a great image of the bridge in the daytime. And then some also very historic photographs from the great Mackinac Island. Here's the Grand Hotel. I've never stayed there, but I have been on Mackinac Island. I love to ride my bike all the way around the island. And then, of course, eat some good dessert on the island, too. So maybe you visited, or maybe you want to go to Mackinac Island, and that could be included in your map. Here's a great example of a cartographer's work, because the map has a key, a compass rose, different areas are highlighted and labeled. So we're going to do kind of the same thing as a cartographer when we make our map. So I wanted to show you some amazing images and photographs taken by an artist that I know personally. His name is Ryan Lausma, and he takes photos with his drone. So if you've ever used a drone, they are pretty awesome and pretty sweet. He can kind of control his drone as it flies to take different photographs, and then he can edit those photographs later that the drone took. So it's like, not only is he kind of a scientist working with his technology and his drone, but then he can be an artist and use his artistic eye as he's controlling the drone at the same time. Multi-talented artist for sure. So just know that you could use your drone skills, if you have one, to be an awesome artist, just like Mr. Ryan Lausma, who was nice enough to let me use his photographs in this slideshow presentation, and maybe could inspire you when you make your artwork. You might say, man, I love those images. I might use that in part of my landscape, or maybe even part of my map. I want to include some of the images. And also in this image I love too, because you can see the horizon line right here, kind of in the middle of the photo. So he split it up really well when he edited. And you see those details, especially up close in the foreground, closest to us. Not only does it look bigger, but it is more detailed. And then as you get closer to that horizon line, things get a little fuzzier and lighter and less detailed. So Mr. Ryan Lausma, perfect atmospheric perspective as well as just great quality images from his drone. Here's some more images that he took. You can see the detail up close in the foreground. It's getting lighter as it gets, look at that sky, how light it is close to the horizon. And then he even got an awesome shot of the shoreline and a lighthouse. And I actually used this when I made my image. So I'll show you in a second my image that I borrowed from Mr. Ryan Lausma, an amazing artist. So well done, Ryan, on your photos. So we're going to also talk about symbolism. A symbol, something used, an image used to represent something. We've used symbols a lot to represent ourselves, and then we know that symbols can also represent something else, such as the state of Michigan. Michigan has official symbols, all states do, and you might know some of these from social studies, but we're going to include them in our map. Not all of them, but you get to choose the ones that you like best. And symbols work great for stamps as well. Artists make stamps all the time. And you can see Traverse City cherries, state bird robin. Here's a little map of our state. The apple blossom is our state flower. Our state tree is the white pine. We have the white-tailed deer as our state mammal, and if you're a hunter, maybe that's really important to you as well. We have our state flag. It's got some symmetry with the mammals on each side there. And then robin's our state bird. Petoskey stones, our state stone. The brook trout, our state fish. So the list goes on. Oh, can't forget about the painted turtle. Gotta love those painted turtles. They're so cool and unique. The designs, this one has some cool symmetry and patterns. So even in nature, you can find the elements and principles of design all over the place. That's what makes it so cool, and that's connecting to science as well, and nature. So art, we connect it all, don't we? So here's some more. So these were illustrations of symbols. These are the real deal. So real detailed Petoskey stones, a real painted turtle, a robin, a brook trout has cool patterns as well, the white pine and the white-tailed deer. If you're a hunter, you're probably already counting the points on those antlers as well. So we have some requirements for our Michigan symbolism. When we make our map, you're going to obviously include Michigan, the Upper Peninsula and the Lower Peninsula. Include a lighthouse or the Mackinac Bridge or a sailboat or all of them if you want, and at least 3 Michigan symbols and label them. So of those symbols we just looked at in the slideshow, you could pause and go back, or you could look them up on your Chromebook, but maybe you want the robin because you like bird watching. Maybe you want the white-tailed deer because you like going hunting, and that's a memory of Michigan that you carry with you. Maybe you want Mackinac Island or the Sleeping Bear Dunes or sailing. If you like to sail and go out on the boat, maybe you have the boat out in Lake Michigan. Something like that. Connect it to you and your experience in Michigan, and I'm going to show you mine as to how I've connected with Michigan too. Also, you can't forget about your compass rose. The best thing about cartographers is they are very good with directions. So they know their north, their south, their east, and their west, and everything is labeled so nicely on their maps. And then you could also include cities and places you've been or that are important to you, and try to label those Great Lakes as well. So here is my map and my landscape. So in my map, I connected to things that are important to me, but also hit the requirements on the list as well. So I've labeled the Great Lakes. And if you were wondering earlier which Great Lake is not connected to our shoreline, it is Lake Ontario. So it's right here, just kind of not quite connected, but I wanted to include it. I also have Michigan labeled up here. I created a box at the top. My demonstration video in the demonstración, I'm going to show you how you can make the tick marks with the ruler to make the boxes top and bottom. I have the Great Lakes State, kind of like our nickname. I have some textured bark. And then, of course, I have more than 3 symbols because I couldn't choose my faves, but I included lots of them. So I have the robin. I have some bears. I want to explore the Upper Peninsula. I haven't really done that, and I would like to. The White Pines, Mackinac Island, want to go back there for sure. I want to go to Drummond Island as well. I have a friend that grew up there, and I've never been there, so I want to go see that. I have the Mackinac Bridge, Petoskey Stone, Apple Blossom, the brook trouts a swimming. I got a sailboat hanging out in Lake Michigan. And then, of course, I wanted to include the SJ Red Wings. That's where we are right here. Our capital is Lansing, so I even drew a mini Capitol building. And the star, because as you know, cartographers put a star on the map for where the state capitals are. And maybe you like to study capitals. At one point, I could just list them off like that. And then in Lansing, East Lansing in particular, we got good old Sparty, Ann Arbor, the rivalry here with U of M. Detroit, gotta love the sports, so while they may not win all the time, we still rep the Detroit Lions, the Detroit Tigers. I use symbols of the lion for the Lions and a football. Baseball's a symbol for the Detroit Tigers, but so is that Old English D. So symbols can represent the sports in the city as well. Traverse City Cherries, I got some friends up in Traverse City, gotta represent them. And then I used to work at Ann Arbor Art Center. So by the U of M in Ann Arbor, I also put a little painter's palette to represent my experience in Ann Arbor. Love Ann Arbor. So here's my compass rose as well with the directions. So I hit those requirements, but also connected it to me and my experiences. Then also in the demonstración, I'm going to show you how you can use chalk and liquid starch to create a very cool landscape. And I use some of the images from Mr. Ryan Lausma's photos as well as other reference images as well to create my landscape. So some atmospheric perspective, more details in the foreground, lighter at the horizon line. So you're learning new techniques, you're learning new vocabulario, vocab, and you're really connecting with symbolism of our great state of Michigan. It's really quite remarkable how we can connect every content area, every subject at school back to our visual arts. So keep up the good work, pause and rewind as needed, watch the demonstración, watch a story that I read about Michigan lighthouses, and I can't wait to see what you create. So please show me your amazing results as you turn champion artist into cartography as well, map making. Adios, amigos. Keep up the good work.